morning. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. We're so glad to have you here today. We're just blessed by your presence and want to wish everyone a happy Mother's Day. We're talking about nurturing healthy relationships today. So I thought it'd be cool to just reflect back, for myself anyways. Unfortunately, my mother has passed, but I just remember in terms of relationships, when I was a teenager, I was a jerk. You know, it's just very simple. I treated my mother horribly. I was trying to be independent, trying to do things on my own, and my mom was a single mom, and I was a jerk, that's all. But fortunately, I grew out of that. And when I was in my 20s, I began to cherish my mother and her independence, how she showed up in life, how she contributed to others in the community. And really, she was a role model for a lot of people, and was pretty blessed to have her in my life for quite a long time. So, yeah, but just keeping it real, you know? So if you'll just turn to someone next to you and just say namaste to them and greet them. We're so blessed to have your presence, and especially for those online, either now or in a future time, we're just grateful to have you with us also as you share with us your energy. So in opening, let's just turn to prayer then. Let's just go within and just take a breath and ground ourselves in this present moment. For we know on this beautiful day that we're all gathered here in community to just know the presence, to be part of this community, both individually, collectively, and to the world at large. We just show up in this time and space knowing that we are open to new ideas, new ways of thinking, to bust through whatever might be holding us back. For we release anything that may be in our way. And in terms of relationships, we just open ourselves up to the presence with every person and situation we come in contact with. We just know that divine order unfolds beautifully, perfectly. We just open up our hearts, our minds, and our souls to this knowing, to this unfolding, and to the abundance that surrounds us at all times. And we just look forward in divine inspiration for today's time together. And we just feel blessed and grateful, and we just let it be, and together we say, and so it is. Welcome, Elaine.
Happy Mother's Day. And this is Jay Bird Martin, the wonderful clarinetist. Oh, we're going to do a song. I only do this song on Mother's Day, so it was written by a man named Jonas Magrum, who I met in Iowa, of all places, at the Maharishi Institute. Such a pretty song. Well, it was in tune. I don't normally have this. It's called Mother, Take Us There. There is a loving place, tender and full of grace. Sweet sister, hear our prayer. Oh, Mother, take us there. There is a loving place where peace take us home. Please melt these hearts of stone. Guide us with constant care. Even though we may choose to roam, help every soul to fly. Dance with the angels soaring on high. Help every hurt to heal. Help every fear to die. Let your love light our way. Cast every doubt away. Sweet sister, hear our prayer. Oh, Mother, take us there. Oh, Mother, take us there. This is your part. Oh, Mother, take us there. Oh, Mother, take us there. Let me hear you. Oh, Mother, take us there. Oh, Mother, take us there. Oh, Mother, take us there. So it is. Somebody's coming up. There she is.
Hey everybody, how's it going? I found out yesterday I was speaking. Yeah, I'm supposed to know. It came out a month and a half ago, but I didn't. But this is my favorite topic, but it is hard for me to talk about my mother without bawling, so I have a lot of people on standby with Kleenex if I get sloppy. It happens. But the cool thing about just this moment that I get to say a few words about this impactful day for me, and I totally get this isn't the same for everybody. But for me, my mom, you know, she was my best friend. And I know everyone says those words and they're so trite. But what made her my best friend is she saw, you know how a lot of parents see the best version of their kid? You know, no matter what they do, they're always, my mother saw the actual painful, flawed version of me and still said, all right, sit down. Do you know what I mean? She literally would say, like, I have searing impatience, right? She got that. She knew that I loved to write, but I was grammatically just, I would pillage every sentence. It was just tragic. Her last words to me just before she died was, you know, please write my obituary, but for the love of God, have someone else edit it. Do you know what I mean? Like, she saw everything. She saw my calamity choices of men that I would bring in proudly, and she'd be like, oh, here we go again. Here we go again. You know what I mean? And still, she loved me. She loved me to the point where I was a much more, she was my person, you know, because it was so authentic. So I write a lot about her, you know, to the annoyance of many people. And I want to share a story that was when I learned that she had MS, and also at the same time, I was learning about God. And it will help if I tell you that I'm about 7 years old. And I wrote it in magnificently large font, thinking that I could do this. It's 800 pages long. Is that a problem for you guys? Just let me know. Robert, you ready to go? Yeah, Robert and I already discussed. He's like, I'm throwing my stuff down and I'm out. So, you know, my relationship with God, it did get off on a really shaky start. And it began when I was about 7 years old, because my mom, she began falling a lot. We'd be walking in the grocery store or shopping, and then poof, she'd be sprawled out on the linoleum floor. At first, I thought she must have slipped or tripped, but after many more tumbles, I realized there was nothing wrong with the floor. She had something called multiple sclerosis, and for a kid, that was merely a big word that meant that she was tippy and had to wear sensible shoes with gummy soles. As her MS progressed, her choices in footwear declined. No heels, she would need lace-up styles that could fit a plastic molded brace that cupped her heel and wrapped her calf. The shoes the color of Band-Aids were preferable since they coordinated with anything. So what got God and me off to a rocky start, you may wonder? Well, it began with something my older sister said. She was 6 years older than me, and she just seemed like an adult. She was 5'9", tall, brainy, brazen, and her questions came out like statements. And one day she bent down, and her face was really close to mine, and she said, "You know, Amy, one day Mom is going to be crippled and deaf." Not yet, Jerry, but I'm close. I was terrified. And I just had this horrific version of this disintegrating future with her, and visions of my mom wasting away in a wheelchair and wearing this dull look of silence. And I blew out of the house crying, and I headed next door to my friend Leanne Szynski. And we each had these old country houses set back from the road, and when we saw each other, we would run through this windy, long, flattened path of unmowed grass that kind of, joined our property. And I was bawling when I ran through. And once I got to Lee's house, I was sobbing these fat tears that my mom was a goner, and that Leanne she was a couple years older than me. And she had what I would later realize was this kind of aristocratic beauty, perfectly straight blonde hair, steady blue eyes, and this boyish, elongated figure. But her looks weren't the only thing that differentiated us. She was also Catholic, and more importantly, she was a Catholic in training. She was going through CCD classes, which I didn't know what it was, but what I did know is that these Catholic teachings were going to teach me to God, introduce me to God. So with this ragged voice, I tell Leanne that plight that would soon ravage my mother, and she calmly reached for this oversized paperback CCD book that she had on her nightstand, and she showed me this hand drawing, and it was a picture of this little girl kneeling by a twin bed, and the girl wore a loose white nightgown. Her head was lowered as if she was interested in the rug. Her hands were touching palm to palm, and her fingers facing upward. Lee pointed to the page, and she said, "All we have to do is pray for a miracle." And I was like, "A miracle? What is that?" And she goes, "It's a miracle is when you ask God to answer your prayers, and he answers them." And I'm like, whoa. I said, so Lee continues. He said, "God gives out miracles, but only when you really need them." Check. And you only get one in a lifetime. I could work with that. And so she pointed to the little girl and introduced me how to get my miracle game on, and I went home. So tonight she said, "You have to, kneel by your bed. Don't fall asleep." And she pointed to the picture one more time. "Keep your hands together and ask God over and over again to take away your mom's multiple sclerosis, and in the morning she won't have it anymore." So I thought, well, these Catholics have perks, man. They have some serious perks. And I wiped away my tears. I straightened myself up. I was skipping home. And I was thinking how lucky I was to have learned this inside secret miracle that only me and a few other well-read CCD kids could now share. So victory was only a morning away. So that night, I assumed the miracle-making position. And I was kneeling, head bent forward, hands together. I asked God to cure my mom. And this was my first time talking to God, so I felt a little unsure how to do it. So I went with a really straightforward, no-frills approach. Please heal my mom, God. And then after a while, I went into a more conversational tone, something I sympathized that he probably had a busy day. I could see how things got messed up in his line of work. Surely he didn't mean to give my mom MS to start with. I thanked him for his miracle-makingness, and I was, it was really going well until I woke up, and I was pretty sure I had fallen asleep, and that is one of the key miracle-making laws, is no falling asleep. So I got back on my tender knees. I once again began to ask. This time there was no chitter-chatter. I was time for straight miracle-making business. So when the morning came, I felt all bubbly. It was like I had guzzled a glass of Sprite. And my mom was in the kitchen making breakfast, and when I went in, I had to inspect my work. I watched her moving about, and she was whisking some eggs, and she didn't tip over. It looks good, And I stood awkwardly by her, waiting for her to exclaim that she'd been healed, and I began silently, rehearsing how I'd, casually take credit for it. She must have sensed I was waiting for something because she asked me, what are you doing? And I said with a smug smile, plastered on my face, do you still have MS? I was still struggling with how to pronounce multiple sclerosis. And I waited anxiously for her to confide how she had woken up cured, and maybe she'd knock out a couple high kicks to celebrate. Instead, she looked at me and she said, yeah, of course I do. And that was the exact moment that God and I stopped talking. I didn't see him as all-powerful. I'd be cordial if we were in a room with people who thought he was the supreme being, but I wouldn't let on in the truth. The truth was that he was nice enough, but he couldn't really be counted on. Decades passed since that day, and despite many inspirational books and countless religious inquiries, I still held my secret struggle with God being the all-powerful. There's no doubt there's staggering examples of where God has swooped in and saved the day. My challenge is how to make peace with the many desperate pleas that have gone without God's intervention. And years went by, and to be truthful, I still struggle with the all-powerful bit. And simply put, God and I weren't close. In 2012, on Christmas Eve, my then 84-year-old mother and I went to this small Christmas service, and it was crazy beautiful. There were zillions of flickering candles and this crescendo of gorgeous evangelistic music and head-nodding sermon. And on the ride home, I confided to my mom the story that I just told you. And she listened, and she said nothing, which was unusual. And we drove the rest of the way in soft silence as my headlights kind of only lit the next little path ahead. And when she got out of the car, she leaned forward. And by the way, when she got out of the car, she only used a sporty black crutch. That's all she used. She looked less permanent to her. And she leaned forward, and when she got out of the car, and she peeked her head back in, and she goes, Aim, it worked. And I said, what worked? And she goes, I'm not crippled, and I'm not deaf. And I cried the rest of the way home. So, to you.
Thank you, Amy. That was beautiful, really touching. So I know Teresa's going to talk about boundary keepers and nurturing healthy connections, besides Mother's Day. And so this song is, it's called The Universal Voice. I actually wrote it for CSL. It says 2023, so. And it's really about being a choice, and that's how we make miracles. We are always at choice when we tune into the universal voice, but it takes discipline to listen into the universal voice. And there's a universal choice. It's the love in the universal voice, but it takes discipline to listen into the universal voice. The universal voice is still and small. The universal voice answers every call. This comes from within, below and above, as the sacred sounds of love. The universal voice brings us knowing. The us growing. The universal voice sets us free to roam to the universal sound of all, the universal sound of creation. We're going to do 3 of them. And again. One more time. We are always that choice when we tune into the universal voice, but it takes discipline to listen into the universal voice. That's your part. It takes discipline to listen into the universal. One more time. It takes discipline to listen to the universal voice. So it is. Jay Martin. There's our mom.
Morning. Good morning to everyone. Thank you so much, Jay and Elaine. That's just beautiful. Gosh, this whole morning has been thus far. Wow, 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 wow. Amy. So, that is why I had your name on Mother's Day. Because I have read your pieces about Mother. Your mother. And they've always touched me like that. So that is why. That's one task that I have that I don't give to anyone else, is I schedule the readers, I schedule the musicians, and I often will schedule readers and musicians together, or topic and reader together, or whatever. And now you're in on the secret. So thank you. And Richard, thank you so much for your opening. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. So just as Amy said, you know, not everybody had a great experience with Mom. And some of us were the cause of it all, like Richard said. I love that. I was kind of a snotty teenager. Yeah. I had many, many moments myself. You know, you've heard Father, Mother, God. Many people in New Thought will use that phrase, or even progressive Christian churches, Father, Mother, God. And that really speaks to the principle of oneness, that unity back of all life. It's both the masculine and the feminine, and those principles are inherent within all of us. You know, not a strong line that was drawn and all the testosterone, you know, given out over there, and you know what I mean? Like, that's really not the way that it shows up in life. And it expresses through us in that blend, in that unique blend. And Ernest Holmes said it this way. He said, we glorify the indwelling God, Heavenly Father, Cosmic Mother. We glorify it. And so I looked at that word, and I looked at it, and I looked at it. First, I didn't like it. So I wanted to understand it a little deeper. We really are the form of it. We're the embodiment of it. Instead of not kneeling and praying to it, yeah, we're the embodiment of it. We glorify that divine feminine by allowing it to move through us as us. Yeah, and the same with the masculine. Yeah. I love that. I love that. I'm going to paraphrase this thing that he said. He says it's genius. It's just genius the way the divine incarnates into all life. The possibility of everything, all that God is, all that the universe has expression. It solely exists to have its expression in, as, and through us. Ernest Holmes goes on to say, it exists solely that this rose shall blossom, that we may paint. Think back to last week with Truman painting live right in the midst of all our goings on, and then all the artists that donated their goods for our auction last week. Wow. It exists solely to paint, to bloom. He goes on to say that we may sing. Bob Sima, Shannon, Saisha last week, Elaine this morning. It exists to sing through you, to move through you. Wow, what a divine purpose, yes? What a divine purpose. And he goes on, so that the child may make a mud pie and mama can nurse her baby. All of this and more is what that divine incarnation is. It's what spirit is. It's what the purpose of life is, to be expressed. To be expressed. Yeah, to be expressed. And it's all important. It's all important. The laughter of a child is just as important to the universe as the creation of a planet. You feel that truth in that statement? How could it be anything other than that? Couldn't be anything other than that. So our honor to everyone who nurtures life, who expresses those feminine qualities of life, of nurturing, of love, of patience, of support. We have these beautiful flowers here this morning. Thank you, Diana, for your insight. And so please, after the service, come help yourself. Pick the one that you're drawn to. Take it home and enjoy it, and know that we honor you. It is really impossible to experience and express all the joy that this thing called life has for us. All that's available, all of that expression, all that fullness, if we don't know who we are, if we don't open ourselves up to that, if we don't allow it, if we somehow block it, right? Because it's here, boys, ready to party, right? It's ready to play in, as, and through us, but we block it. Science Mind teaching is all about our ability to attract into our lives, or to express or experience or create in our lives. And we do it from our thoughts. We do it from our deep-seated beliefs. And you hear me talk about this all the time, right? And so if we want to change unwanted circumstances in our lives and live our really very best lives and be our really very best self, then we got to be feeling it, and I mean it with the capital I. We got to know it. We got to talk to it. We got to experience it. And we do that by knowing our own worth. I believe it's that simple. And I'm not telling you it's easy because I have struggled with it. It is not easy, but it's so simple. You are that beauty, that love, all of that. And so, whether we get that idea or not, we're attracting or creating from that belief, wherever it lies in us. Where on that continuum do we really believe it? You're magnificent, you're brilliant. You're magnificent and you're brilliant. But if you don't know that you are, you're not radiating that, right? If you don't know it, you're not radiating, you've blocked it. So what if boundaries helped Spirit flow in us? What if boundaries helped you experience your unlimited nature? Now that's a really interesting, you hear the words, boundary, unlimited, they seem like they don't belong in the same sentence, do they? Right. But you are unbounded. You are unlimited. You are inexhaustible, expansive. Yeah. Huh. Except for when we give our power away. Except for when we don't remember. Except for when we block it. But it's our natural state. It's our natural state. So then we end up feeling bruised and depleted and exhausted. But what if setting boundaries wasn't about, just for today, I'm going to ask you to suspend some ideas, and the therapists in the room to maybe suspend some ideas. Well, what if today boundaries, the idea, the conversation around boundaries wasn't about protection? What if it wasn't about rejection and protection? What if it wasn't about that? What if it was a declaration of all that you are? What if it was a declaration of love? What if it was a declaration of worth? And we put our energy into that idea. What if we did that? Boundaries are our declaration of worth. And when we communicate them, it's love in action. I'm going to ask us to flip the script a little bit on how we have thought of boundaries in the past. You know, the 90s. I really, when I saw that today's theme was boundaries, I'm like, oh God, I'm so tired of talking about boundaries. I feel like that's, you know, there's tons of books. There's tons of books on boundaries. It's been around, popular since the 90s. Probably came out of the psychological research done around alcoholism in the 70s and 80s. Then we go into, codependency, related, all related, all related, all related in this experience. All of that related in this experience. But if we take a spiritual approach to it, which is what I'm proposing that we do today, that we see boundaries as a spiritual practice, giving voice to that unique experience, that unique spirit, that unique imprint within each one of us. Yeah. So not about protection, not about safety, not about being on guard, not about offending or disrespecting or being disrespected, not about that, not so much about that, not so much about behavior that's tolerable or intolerable. Forget those ideas right now. Not a line in the sand that we're going to draw. It's not about exclusions. It's about a commitment to your spiritual journey. What if that's what it's about? That seems inviting and opening, doesn't it? It's way more attractive of an idea than stop, block, no, don't, go. Right? It's is inviting more love, more peace, and more authenticity into our experience. Now, you know, you've heard me say this a bunch of times. It's not about spiritual bypassing. That's not what I'm going to. But today, I want us to set aside the trauma. And if you are experiencing trauma, if you are a person that is being victimized in a very real sense, please seek help. Please seek help. Please seek help. I want to talk today about authentic choices. I want to talk about loving choices. I want to talk about the freedom in making our own choices. And I understand that it's difficult and impossible for some people. Today, our culture is more difficult for some people than other people. There's no doubt that there's boundaries that have been applied systemically in our culture that limit some people more than other people are limited. I get that. And I think healthy boundaries really come with social justice. And I think violations of boundaries have come at the expense of justice. So they're very much tied together. They're very much tied together. Our history in this culture is steeped in boundary violations. And here, through the Centers for Spiritual Living, through the oneness teaching of New Thought, through my ministry, we absolutely do the work. We absolutely affirm the right for all people to express themselves limitlessly, right? So you know where I am with that. But again, today I want to focus on this idea of self-worth and how we set ourselves up for a healthy spiritual journey in that way, that we recognize our ability to experience our own voice coming into form in a way of harmony, of flow, from the inside out, from the inside out, from the inside out. That's the authentic expression. And I believe that that's what nurtures our soul's evolution. Each one of us are on this journey, evolving. Each one of us, I mean, you think about who you were as a child. I mean, Richard's not a snotty, bratty teenager anymore. He's really a lovely person, right? We have personal evolution. And when we do that together, we really are powerfully changing the world. We really are. We really are. So can we agree, for this discussion, the boundaries aren't rejections, but boundaries are affirmations of love? Yeah, all right, that's the first point that I want to make. And it is that for you, and it's that for everybody else in the room, everybody online, everybody everywhere, right? It is a universal affirmation of love, of self-love, and of love for others, and we'll get to that in a minute. But boundaries don't separate. They actually bring us closer together, because it requires a level of intimacy to speak your truth, to have your voice heard. It requires a level of intimacy, an honesty, an authenticity. That's what intimacy is, isn't it? So it's not about creating a separation. It's creating a space where there's a mutual benefit, when everybody understands each other's needs, right? We may not be singing Kumbaya, but we may, when we get to that point where we really deeply understand where each other's coming from. This is what those Peace Builder workshops were all about, was the idea of knowing who you are, what you need, and being able to speak it, right? The three workshops. So how about assessing your own personal autonomy right now? I'm going to ask you a couple questions. Just think to yourself, do you stand up for your beliefs? Just okay, or you can answer them out loud. Do you stand up for your beliefs? Do you make decisions for your highest and best? Do you feel that you come alive when you do that? Do you see the connection when you come alive, the people around you come alive? Can you see that? Or do you worry about what other people think? Do you hate to let other people down? Do you often find yourself feeling guilty and anxious? Man, that wears us down. I feel myself worn down just saying those things out loud. But that's how I came into this teaching, was feeling like a victim, being worn down. Because why? Because I didn't know how to have boundaries. And when I learned that I had choice, when I learned my own worthiness because I was, what? An incarnation of the divine, oh my God, life started changing. All of this is connected in a really, really, really empowering way. There's a book that I've been reading. It's called Unf Your Boundaries by Dr. Faith Harper. And she talks about there's lots of different kinds of boundaries, but there's 3 ways that boundaries are defined: rigid, permeable, or flexible. Rigid, permeable, or flexible. Rigid is, there's 0 space for negotiation, and I do have some of those. There's 0 space for negotiation with physical violence, verbal abuse, not having it. Not having it. I probably am rigid with some passive-aggressive behavior too. Not having it. Not having it. Permeable, everything gets through. Everything gets through. If permeable, you're like a big whole sieve, like everything's coming through. All the aggressions, all the things that you don't want. And then if you're like Goldilocks, you find the one that's just right, that balance that's just right, and that's being flexible. That's being flexible. And how do we be flexible with our boundaries? We listen within. We make sure that we're really in tune with what's important to us, and then we can feel when something feels out of alignment, right? So we listen and maybe even ask ourselves, how would I grow best spiritually? Remember, I'm talking about spiritual boundaries, looking at this from a spiritual perspective. Well, spirituality isn't about always being comfortable. It is not always about being comfortable, is it? It hurts sometimes. It's icky and sticky and gunky and sometimes. But it's so, so worth it. It's so, so worth it. So, like Goldilocks, we want to listen and then amend, adjust. It's not a mechanism for controlling our environment. And that is not at all what I'm talking about. In the book, she says, too many walls keep us from living. And boy, that's true. Too many walls keep us from living. Too many walls will keep us stuck, keep us from experiencing all of that. So I'm just going to quickly give you a couple examples because I really want to share these with you, my community, because I feel that it's important for me to share these with you. So you'll know why as I go. Mondays is my day off. I'm pretty rigid about that, although I've been permeable with it by answering your 18 and 20 emails or text messages. That's on me. It's not on you. That's one thing to know about boundaries. It's on me. It's on me. For me to communicate. I take Mondays off. I try to take Tuesdays off. But I'm flexible with Tuesday because there's some weeks, like the last 3 or 4, I could not take Tuesday off. There was just loads of stuff going on, and I made that choice because I was enjoying all the preparations for Shine and all the conversations we were having around Shine, right? Yeah, so then you make some adjustments, right? At Shine, early on that morning, I made a rule. Did I not make a rule? I made a rule, didn't I? And what was the rule? Don't take the broom out of my hand. Don't take the table away from me. Don't stop me from working. So this is an interesting one because it's different sometimes than other times. On Sunday mornings, I come in late. You've already got it set up. That was hard for me to do. But I had to do it so I could come in here fresh, right? So I learned. But on Shine, I came in to get sweaty and dirty. I came in with my servant heart. I was here to set up early. I was here the day before cleaning with others. But I had to let you know that I'm shifting on you right now. I'm going to get hot and dirty this morning. Don't stop me. Sometimes I want to sweep the floor. And sometimes I want to sweep the floor because it's a closure for me. It's an honoring of what has happened. Sometimes, and here's the thing, when we're articulating, we don't have to explain all the reasons why. We have to know the reasons why. We have to know the reasons why. But we don't necessarily have to explain them all. Everybody's boundaries will differ, and your boundaries are allowed to shift and change, and they won't necessarily make sense to other people. But the communication piece of it is really, really important. So, again, back to the peace building workshops. I am frustrated when you take the broom out of my hand because sometimes I'm setting the tone energetically for what we're going to do here. And sometimes I just need to do something physical to clear my own thoughts. Whatever the case may be, can you allow me the space when it's needed? That is a healthy boundary. It's a loving boundary. I respect and hear what you say. Reverend Diana said, but Theresa, it's about respect. President of my board said, but we want you doing what you're best at. Sometimes I need to sweep the floor. Yeah. And I'll let you know if I need to. And that's what I want you to do. We do amazing work together in community when we see each other and we allow each other that space to show up authentically, real, good days, bad days, every day. When we allow that, when we set the tone, a sacred space for being who we came here to be, and we play boldly like that. And then you're fortified and you've had some experience and you can go out and do it in your families or your places of business with your friends. Yeah? Oh man, I just dig this. I love it. So here you go. Where might you need to visit or revisit your boundaries? Think about what drains your energy, what nourishes your soul. And do what you need to do to discuss these with other people. And know that you have support in doing that, always. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
No. So somebody gave me a big boundary, and I didn't really like it. And it was a friend that I had since the 90s that does what I do and travels around and does music presentations and music ministry. And always felt safe around this person. And I noticed it was getting a little wonky, a little snarky. And one day he told me, he says, I don't want to do it. When I'm around you, it makes my skin crawl. This is what my friend told me after all the, and it was okay because, it was like, ouch. But I respected his boundary and sat with it and thought about it and overthought it. But you know what? I found the silver lining and I wrote a really good song. And it's somebody that, let's just say, in my opinion, doesn't really walk the talk. It's called Because. When you witness something that makes your skin crawl, or when you're hearing something that makes you wanna bawl, when you might have a feeling that brings on some fear, that's when the choices appear. Ooh. That's when an answer is near. Because we are each at cause, because of immutable law. Because be the cause what I know to be true. What we're looking at, we're looking through. What we're looking at, we're looking through. So then I'm noticing, I'm saying you this, you that, you. And when you point the fingers at someone, you got three pointing back at you. And so then I thought about this and I said, when I witness something that makes my skin crawl, or when I'm hearing something that makes me wanna bawl, when I might have a feeling that brings on some fear, that's when the choices appear. That's when an answer is near. Because we are each at cause, because of immutable laws. Because be the cause what I know to be true. What we're looking at, we're looking through. What we're looking at, we're looking through. All right, Jim. We can take responsibility for what we attract. take a moral inventory. When I point at you, it comes back to me. Just like the boomerang that love appears to be, or the echo of negative emotionality. Because we are each our cause, because of immutable laws. Because be the cause what I know to be true. What we're looking through. What's your part? What we're looking through. What we're looking through. One more. What we're looking through. And so it is. Jay.
Thing. So this is our time of tithes and offering, and as we're looking at nurturing relationships today, might be one to think about for your prosperity and your abundance and circulation. So, and in that vein, I am a master prosperity teacher, and if anyone wants to talk about money at any time, feel free to contact me. So if you'll just take your tithe with you and put it on your heart, and if you give electronically, please just keep it in mind. And for those online, they'll be scrolling some ways that you can participate. So we just go within and know that this time of circulation, this time of prosperity, this time of spiritual unfolding, we just open ourselves up, our hearts, our minds, and our wallets to where we're spiritually fed. We just feel this blessing and we allow circulation to happen. And we just let it be. And together we say, and so it is.
Thank you, Richard, and let's sing together. I receive the gift of life and pass it on. I receive the gift of love and pass it on. I receive the gift of joy and pass it on. I receive all good and pass it on. I receive the gift of life and pass it on. I receive the gift of love and pass it on. I receive the gift of joy and pass it on. I receive all good and pass it on.
All right. So time for our announcements. First off, if those who worked on Shine last week, if you would just stand up for a moment. We just want to give gratitude for helping us make this event such a great and wonderful thing. Thank you very much. All right. And if you're a first-timer here, if you'd see the graders or Reverend Diana, we have a gift for you. And feel free also for everyone, including the first-timers, please come for, afterward, we have a social time here. And please make sure to introduce yourself to Reverend Theresa. She likes to meet everyone who comes. We do have a weekly newsletter, much going on. Feel free. There's a lot on the table to check out. And if you need help with parking, please either see Lisa, Theresa, or Hector. And we know that it's going to be a little bit of extra effort to park down the road and come here, but if you need some help, please reach out and we'll be glad to find a way to support you. Our center is offering, we signed up for this workshop, so it's free for every member of our center. It's happening this Wednesday and next week on Thursday with Reverend Z around gender-rich and enhancing relationships, about building community around safe space and understanding boundaries and how to include them in your life and how to work with how you communicate and be inclusive in life. So feel free, it's in the newsletter, or just ask around, and there's a way to join if you'd like to join in that workshop. Also this Friday, if you want to see Lisa, there's a dinner and a women's meditation, so that'll be going on. And my name is Richard, I'm practitioner of the day, and I'll be over here in the corner if you'd like to have some prayer to either celebrate something or to work through whatever's going on for you, that'd be great. And feel free to also to reach out to any of the practitioners. Our names and numbers are in the newsletter, or you could send a prayer to prayer@cslculturalcoast.org. And we pray as a practitioner group for all those prayers that come in. We'll support you in holding the truth for you. So with that, we're off to our wonderful closing
music. Richard, you always do such a fabulous job, doesn't he? Yeah. So for a long time, I had an adopted Jewish mom named Elaine, and she was so wise. You know, she was from the Bronx, but she owned a beautiful 185-acre mountaintop retreat, and I used to live there in the summer. It was beautiful. And we just loved each other so much, we adopted each other as spiritual mother and daughter. My mom was alive then, too, and I think maybe she was a little bit like, what? But she was fine with it. Because this was my friend, and she was always so generous with her wisdom and her home. And she used to, very often would say, enjoy every moment. That's exactly how she sounded. And then I thought, like, that sounds like a lie. How can you enjoy every moment? I mean, and then some of us started to say it, enjoy every moment, and it just made us happy. So she passed away, and on the plane ride up, it was sudden, you know. And on the plane ride up, back up to New Jersey, the song came on the plane. And it's called "Enjoy Every Moment." And I'm going to teach you the chorus. The first part goes, enjoy every moment, enjoy your life. When you enjoy every moment, you shine your light. Let's try that. Enjoy every moment, enjoy your life, enjoy your life. When you enjoy every moment, you shine your light, you shine your light. Enjoy every moment, enjoy every moment, enjoy what's here, enjoy what's here. When you enjoy every moment, the truth is clear, the truth is clear. Okay, everybody from the top, enjoy every moment. Enjoy your life. When you enjoy every moment, you shine your light. Enjoy every moment, enjoy every moment. Enjoy what's here. When you enjoy every moment, the truth is clear. The love of God is blessing you. The light of God protects. In God's presence redirects you to enjoy every moment. Enjoy your life. When you enjoy every moment, you shine your light. Enjoy every moment. What's here? Enjoy what's here. When you enjoy every moment, the truth is clear. She loved hugs too. Life is good and getting better, and laughing seals the deal. Ha ha ha. Reach out now to one another with hugs that help you heal. Enjoy every moment. Enjoy every moment. Enjoy your life. Will you enjoy every moment? Shine your light. Will you enjoy every moment? Shine your light. Thank you, everybody. Music lovers.